Hi guys, it's Miss Krystal. Let's talk about some books. So I know that it's a quick turnaround from last time when we talked about books last time, which was like last week, but I am doing this new thing where I'm trying to stick to my book talk schedule. So yeah, the schedule says that a book talk is coming out today. So like a book talk is coming out today, you know? And I have graphic novels, comic books, and they're my favorite. So I have a lot going on over here. I'm gonna try to push through and get through all of this, but like we'll see. And then everything I get through, I'm gonna make like a little book list for in case you don't want to listen to this whole video, which is fine. And then also on a housekeeping note, so this weekend we have some rescheduled programs for youth services. So these are things that were meant to be sooner but had to be rescheduled for one reason or another. So International Candy Taste Test is finally happening. It is on Saturday. If you want to come, please call us or sign up yourself online. I don't know if the link's still up, but you definitely can call us and sign up through us too. And then the other thing is on Sunday, we're having the Moana party. Moana will be there. We're gonna have a bunch of snacks and like party favors. It should be really cute. So if you're in the mood and you wanna feel a little, little Moana-y, come through. So I'm gonna move on to books now because that's what you came for. I have, I think 4 and 4 of each. Yeah, 4 and 4. So I am gonna start with my young adult because I feel like I never start with them for some reason. And then I'm gonna move on to my juvenile, okay? Here we go. Kirby's Lessons for Falling in Love. So this is by Laura Gao. I believe this is only her second graphic novel. Her first one was a memoir that was called Messy Roots. And I liked that one a lot. So I was all in when it said that Laura was gonna write something else, write/draw. These are the drawings. It feels very, so you can see it's only like a 1 or 2 color palette. So it's color, but like not really. And it reminded me a lot of like Tilly Walden. So if you know how her color palettes are, it's kind of in that same vein. And it is about Kirby, who is a super awesome, amazing rock climber. She's in high school. She's known for her amazing rock climbing abilities, but she gets injured, and so she has to take a break from it. And that causes an obvious like kind of identity crisis, but on top of that, she's like forced to do extra credit at school by joining in the newspaper club. And she gets partnered up with Bex, who is like you're like astrology girly, like she's very like, what are you, moons, rising, whatever, charts, and so Kirby is like not buying into all that, and so she finds her a little bit annoying to be honest. And on top of that, what they write together is like the advice/love column for their school. And things start to heat up between her and Bex, though, and she finds herself getting a crush. So, I don't know. I think it's very, like, haters to lovers-y. I don't know. It's a cute little book if you want to read something. And then Strange Bedfellows. This one is a little bit more complex than the first one. This has more color than the first one. And the drawings, to me, amazing. Like, look at this like cover. Amazing. Like, I just think the artwork for this was really, really cool. So that's what drew me in first, was just this title page. I was like, okay, give me more, And it is about Oberon. I'm gonna pronounce this person's name wrong, I feel like. Oberon Afellari. Okay, we're just gonna say Oberon. Okay. Oberon is kind of in a spiral right now because they dropped out of uni. They broke up with their boyfriend. They're kind of floundering within their life, And also I should preface this by saying they live on like an alien planet, which is prone to giving people these weird sort of superpowers, like regularly, okay? So Oberon wakes up one day and finds that they have the ability to make their dreams real, like their actual images in their dreams real, And so one of the things that comes to life is their ex, who they've obviously been fixating on via dreams. Their ex from high school con. And so then they get kind of lost, and it kind of talks about how when you fixate on the past and you let your mind sort of take over your reality, it can stray you away from actual reality. And that's bad too. So these like weird dream monsters are after Oberon. He's coming to terms with the facts that dream con is not the same as real con. So I don't know, I think there's some lessons in here about like staying in the present that I can't really articulate right now for some reason, but give it a shot. The artwork alone is something to like see. Ash's Cabin by Jin Wang. So Jin Wang writes a couple other books that I like too, In Real Life and The Princess and the Dressmaker. This is the first one that's slotted, I feel like, as young adult though, and this kid is in high school, Ash. Ash is non-binary by the end of the book, but they are putting some feelers out there for their gender identity throughout the book. And it really is about Ash, who is very, very passionate about climate change. Like, they're a little wilderness warrior, you know? And they feel like no one else takes that seriously. They feel like very alone in that struggle. And like no one understands what they're passionate about. And so it makes them feel very lonely. And so they end up going on this crazy like wilderness quest to find this mysterious, like almost mythical cabin that their grandfather may or may not have built in the Californian wilderness with their dog. What's the dog's name? Chase, with their dog Chase. So a lot of what ifs in there. I'm going to show you the artwork because I think it's really unique. It feels very like watercolory. And then on top of it, the way that Jen writes it is like memoir-esque, you know, like very like diary memoir-esque, which I like love, you know. So give it a shot. Last of the young adult series, The History of Everything. Like, shout out to all my, look at this artwork, shout out to all my like alt gothic girlies. Like, look at these two girlies. I loved them. As soon as I saw this cover, I was like, tell me more about that. So they are Daisy and Agnes. Agnes is a very fitting name, I feel like. And they're best friends, as you can see. But they find out that Agnes is moving away at the end of summer. And so they decide to write The History of Everything, which will be a detailed scrapbook of their friendship and also a bucket list for them to do things together all summer long. But then Daisy ends up getting a boyfriend, right? And it's her first boyfriend, and he's a drummer for a band. He has all these gigs that she now feels obligated to go to. On top of that, you know, when it's I feel like your first real relationship, you feel like you throw everything into it. And so she kind of prioritized her romantic relationship over her friendship. And that obviously rubs Agnes the wrong way. So it leads to a lot of fighting. It leads to a lot of misunderstandings. And it really is about juggling like your friendships and your platonic and your romantic relationships, which I think is a lesson that pretty much every teen that I know has to learn at some point. So give it a shot. Okay, so we're gonna try to rapid fire this. We're gonna Sea Legs. Sea Legs really hit me like in the gut. The artwork is really nothing to write home about. It's clear, it's concise. It's of course, you know, beautiful, but you know. But Sea Legs is really about this girl, Janie. She lives on a boat with her parents and they like sail around the world. And because of that, like, her parents are great. She's learning a lot, like, educationally. It's enriching her life a lot to be on these travels with her family. But one drawback is that she is very lonely. She doesn't have any friends. This book is set in 1997. So that means that she couldn't just, like, text somebody. She can't just make YouTube videos. You know, it's not so easy to communicate without that cell phone, without that internet. You know what I mean? So she's kind of on her own, and she meets this other girl, Astrid, at one of the ports because her parents decide to stay for a while and get part-time jobs in this like little city. She stays there, and Astrid seems like, when she first meets her, she seems older, and she's very like, she's a cool girl. She's got the sunglasses, she's got the cool hair, and you know, that vibe going about her. But Astrid is a very complicated person, very complicated kid who leads a complicated home life that Janie has never encountered before. And so the gut punch is like learning about Astrid's life, learning about why she makes such a precarious friend, and then Janie kind of opening her eyes to her own life. And I don't know what to really say to make you like understand, but it's great. Like, I think everyone should read this. I loved it a lot. Sea legs. Okay. Cassie and the House of Memories. So this one, interesting artwork, you know? I don't know if I like honestly cannot say if I'm into it or not. I don't know. But I was into it enough to finish. And Cassie and the House of Memories, the real shining star of this is the story and the way that they interpreted it. So it's basically Cassie has a really good connection with her grandfather, and she explains that in the very beginning. But her grandfather is obviously suffering with signs of Alzheimer's, and so he is like slowly kind of forgetting things and experiencing brain fog. And so he wanders away one day, as anybody who's taking care of an elderly person knows that happens. And they go looking for him, and so she wanders into a house of memories. And it's obviously a metaphor for her coming to terms with the fact that his memory isn't the way that it used to be, and so their relationship may have to change. And that like memories are still there even when you've forgotten them. So I like it. I thought it was beautiful. And I think there's not enough stories about like that situation also. Okay. Last but not least, I survived the Great Molasses Flood of 1919. So I didn't, these always teach me something, okay? Because did you know that there was a Great Molasses Flood of 1919? Because I did not, and I went on a wild ride of like internet searches after I read this, because I was like, is this real, for real, for real? And it is. It was in January of 1919. Boston North End. It killed 21 people and injured 150 others. This is obviously not like real people, but it is based on a real experience. So basically what happens is there was like a molasses factory in Boston North End. The tubing, like the huge crate that it was in, which think like grain elevator size, you know, it was not stable enough. The walls were too thin. It exploded and molasses went everywhere and like hurt a bunch of people, killed a bunch of people. I don't know. I think it's cool to learn weird history facts, weird tragic history facts. So go for that. So that's all I have. Okay, it's been kind of a long video. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the things that I talked about and you want to check out these books. If not, then you can wait around for the next one, which will be, I think, the 23rd if I actually stick to my schedule. Goodbye. See you later.